Hello everyone, good day. This is Joy Sante. My report for today is about Home Development Mutual Fund. Republic Act 9679 and acts further strengthening the Home Development Mutual Fund and for other purposes. What is HDMF law? The Home Development Mutual Fund is also known as the Pag-ibig Fund is one of the main programs of the Philippines government to provide its citizens the capability of purchasing their own house and lot. Republic Act 9679's Declaration of Policy state it is the policy of the state to establish, develop, promote, and integrate a nationwide sound and viable tax-exempt mutual provident provident savings system suitable to the needs of the employed and other earnings groups and motivate them to better plan and provide for their housing. Brief history of Pag-ibig Fund. The Home Development Mutual Fund or HDMF is also known as the Pag-ibig Fund or the fund was created on July 11, 1978 by virtue of Presidential Decree number 1530 to address two of the country basic needs, generation of savings, provision of shelter for the Filipino workers. Pag-ibig is an acronym which stands for Pagtulungan sa Kinabukasan, Ikaw, Bangko, Industriya at Gobyerno. To this day, the Pag-ibig Fund continues to harness these four sectors of the society to work together towards providing fund members with adequate housing through an effective savings scheme. Can a member withdraw his contributions? Yes. Under Section 8 of RE 9679, members who have no outstanding loans may withdraw the total accumulated value of their contribution to fund after the 15 years continuous membership. Under Pag-ibig or RE 9679, who are the persons covered? Under 6 of RE 9670, persons covered are the following: all employees covered by the SSS and the GSIS and Armed Forces of the Philippines is the Bureau of Fire Protection and Bureau of Jail Management and Penology and the Philippine National Police. Filipino employed by foreign-based employers. Spouses who devote full time to managing the household and family affairs. Home Development Mutual Pag-ibig Fund Law of 2009. Under Section 1, this shall act be known as the Home Development Mutual Fund Law of 2009, otherwise known as Pag-ibig, Pagtulungan sa Kinabukasan, Ikaw ang Bangko, Industriya at Gobyerno Fund. Section 2, Declaration of Policy is the policy to state of establish, develop, promote, and integrate a nationwide sound and viable tax-exempt mutual provide saving system suitable to the needs of the employed and other earnings groups, and to motivate them to better plan and provide for their housing needs by membership in the Home Development Mutual Fund with mandatory contributory support to the employers in the spirit and social justice and the pursuit of national development. Section 3, Statement of Objectives: to improve the quality of life of citizens by providing them with sufficient shelter, to provide for an integrated nationwide provident saving system, and to provide housing through mobilization of funds for shelter finance. Section 4, the following terms shall mean: Board, the duly constituted Board of Trustees of the Home, the Development Mutual Fund. Third, the compensation, basic monthly salary plus mandated cost of living allowance. Fourth, the contributions, the amount of payable of the fund by the members and their employers in accordance with the Act. Fifth, dependents refers to the legal dependents of a deceased member as defined under the Family Code. Next, the employee. Any person is the service of the employer who receive compensation of such services. Employer, any person, natural or juridical, domestic or foreign, who carries in the Philippines or outside in the Philippines. Employment, any service performed by the employee for his or her employer within the Philippines, provide, however, that any foreign government or international organization of their wholly owned instrumentality employing workers in the Philippines or employing Filipino outside of the Philippines. Fund provided further that the term of such agreement conform with the provision of this Act. GSI is the government service insurance system created under Commonwealth Act number 186 as amended. Investable funds shall remain funds available after deducting cost of operation and expenses and administrative and general expenses reserved for benefit claims provisions. Member, an employee coverable under this act and pays the mandated contribution. Membership term is a period of 20 years commencing from the first day of the month to which the member initial contribution to the fund applies, provided that he shall have contributed a total of 240 monthly contribution at the time of maturity. Net fund asset. The total asset of the fund less current liabilities, permanent total disability, loss or impairment of a physical and mental function resulting from injury or sickness which completely incapacitates a member to perform any work or engage in any business or occupation as determined by the fund. SSS is the Social Security System created under Republic Act number 1161 as amended. Section 5 Fund System. Home Development Mutual Fund of 2009 is also referred to herein as the fund, a mutual fund provident saving system to private and government employees and other earnings group and supported by matching mandatory contribution to their respective employers with housing as the primary investment. Section 6 Fund Coverage. Coverage in the fund shall be mandatory upon all employees covered by the SSS and the GSI as respective employers, and Filipino employed by foreign-based employers, spouse who devote full time to managing the household and family affairs unless they also engage in another vocation and employment which is subject mandatory coverage may be covered by the fund on a voluntary. Section 7. The fund generation and contribution. The money at the fund shall be generated by the provident savings that covered employees shall contribute for the purpose every month and equal amounts that their respective employer shall mandatorily contribute. Covered employees and employers shall contribute to the fund based on the monthly compensation of covered employees. Section 8 Membership Term. Membership is the fund shall be a period of 20 years except when earlier terminated by reason of retirement, disability, insanity, death, departure from the country, or other causes as may be provided for the Board of Trustees. In Section 9, Waiver of Suspension of Coverage. Coverage of the fund and or the payment monthly contribution to the same may be rules of resolution of the Board of Trustees we waive suspended by reason and nature of employment condition of business ability to make contribution and other reasonable consideration. Section 10 Provident Character. The fund shall be private in character, owned wholly by the members, administered in trust, applied exclusively for their benefit. All personnel and employee contribute shall be fully credited, each member accounted individual and transferable in case of change of employment. Section 11. Housing features. A member good standing shall be eligible to apply for housing loans under such terms and conditions as may be authorized by the Board of Trustees taking into account ability to pay. Section 12. Implementing body. The Home Development Mutual Fund created under this Act shall implement the provision hereof. Section 13. Power of the function of the fund. The fund shall have the powers and functions specified in this Act and the usual corporate powers. In Section 14. Board Trustees. The corporate powers and function of the fund shall be vested in the exercise by the Board of Trustees appointed by the President of the Philippines. Section 15. Powers of the Board shall have the following powers. First, to formulate policies, rules, and regulation to carry out effectively the function of the fund under this Act. Second, to promulgate such rules and regulation as may be necessary or proper for the effective exercise of the powers and function as well as discharge of the duties and responsibilities of the fund, its officers, and employees. Section 16. Rule-making power. The Board of Trustees is hereby authorized to make and change needful rules and regulation which shall be published in accordance with law or at least once in a newspaper of general circulation in the Philippines. Section 17. Powers and duties of the Chief Executive Officer. The Chief Executive Officer of the Fund shall execute and administer the policies and resolution approved by the Board of Trustees, prepare its agenda, and direct the supervise and the operation and management of the fund. In Section 18, money investments. All monies of the fund not intended to meet current administrative operation requires shall be invested with due and prudent regards for its safely growth and liquidity needs. Section 19. Exemption from tax, legal process, and lien. All laws of the contrary, notwithstanding the fund, of all assets and properties, all contribution collected, and all accruals thereto, the income of the investment earning therefrom, as well as supplies, equipment, paper, or documents shall be exempted from any tax, assessment fee, charge, or custom, or import duty, and benefits payment. In Section 20, government guarantee is the benefit prescribed in this act shall not be diminished, and to guarantee said benefits, the government of the Republic of the Philippines accept general responsibility for solvency of the fund. Section 21. Administration cost. The fund shall bear the cost of its administration and development in such amounts and limit as the board trustees may deem appropriate, but not exceeding 2% of the net fund asset of the previous year, excluding operating costs directly relating to lending operation of the fund. Section 22. Audit. The chairman of the Commission on Audit shall act as the ex officio auditor of the fund and accordingly is empowered to appoint the respective and other subordinate personnel to perform any report such audit duties, responsibilities, and removable only by the Commission on Audit chairman without prejudice, however, to the power of the Board of Trustees to contract for another mode of independent audit service in addition to the provided by the Commission on Audit has provided for under Presidential Decree number 1445, otherwise known as the Government Auditing Code of the Philippines. In Section 23, remittance and contribution, it shall be the duty every employer, private or public, to set aside and remit the contribution required under this Act accordance with mechanism determined by the Board of Trustees. Section 24, employment records and reports. Each employer shall immediately report to the fund the names, age, civil status, occupation, salaries, and dependents of its covered employees. Section 25, penal provision, refusal of failure without lawful cause with fraudulent intent to comply with the provision with this Act, as well as the implementing rules and regulation adopted by the Board of Trustees, particularly with respect to registration of employees, collection, remittance, and employee saving, as well as the employer counterparts for the correct amount due with the time, set the implementing rules and regulation or specific call or extension made by the fund. Section 26. Existing coverage. Membership under the fund established under the Presidential Decree numbers 1752, together with amounts and benefits already accrued to the members, including employers, counterpart, as well as covering the records documents, shall as transferred, continued, and integrated into new fund hereby established subject henceforth to policies and rules adopted thereunder. Section 27. Visitorial and enforcement powers. The fund, for its authorized representative, is empowered to inspect the premises, books, and accounts, and record for any person of entity covered by the Act required it to submit the reports regularly and act on violation of any provision in this Act. Particularly, aspect of fund administration may be subject to supervision, visitation, or verification by appropriate agencies of the government as may be designated and authorized by the President of the Philippines. Section 28, Implementing Rules and Regulation. The implementing rules and regulation to effectively carry out the provision of this Act shall be adopted by the promulgated by the Board of Trustees ng Pag-ibig Fund not later than 90 days after the approval of Act shall be published in at least one national newspaper of general circulation. In Section 29, Separability Clause. If for any reason any provision of this Act or the application thereof to any person circumstances is held invalid or unconstitutional, the remaining provision is not effective, thereby shall continue to be in full force and effect. Section 30. Repealing Clause Presidential Decree 1530 as amended by Executive Order Number 527 Series 19 of 79 and 538 Series of 1979 Presidential Decree Number 1752 as amended by Executive Order Number 35 Series of 1986 and 90 Series of 1986 and the Republic Act Number 8501 are hereby repealed. Section 6 Republic Act Number 7742 is hereby amended accordingly. All the laws, decrees, executed orders, or rules and regulation, or parts thereof, inconsistent with the contrary to the provision of this Act is a purpose, are hereby amended or modified accordingly. Section 31. Effectivity. This Act shall take effect 15 days after the completion of its publication in Official Gazette or in at least 2 national newspapers of general circulation. That will be all. Thanks for listening.